If you've ever watched an old-school 80s sci-fi movie and thought, yeah, but what if this never stopped and just kept getting more ridiculous? That's basically the energy of Let Them Come Onslaught. This is a roguelike, bullet heaven survivor-style game, but it doesn't lean on the usual cute sprites in a flat arena formula. Instead, it feels like someone jammed a VHS-era alien invasion flick into your PC and told you to survive until the tape melts. You're not just dodging blobs and hoovering up XP gems, you're carving a path through oncoming waves with weapons that feel loud, messy, and gloriously over the top. You drop in, the aliens start coming, and right away the game makes one thing clear. It wants you to feel like the action hero, not just the lab rat in a roguelite experiment. The first thing that really stands out is the arsenal. You're not stuck with a sad little pea shooter that eventually becomes slightly less sad. Here you're playing with flamethrowers, photon sabers, heavy weapons, shields, and yes, you can literally nuke the site from orbit. It's the kind of kit that feels like it was designed by somebody who grew up rewinding their favorite sci-fi scenes frame by frame. What I like is that every weapon actually changes the way you play. Go all in on flamethrowers, and you're hugging the front line, burning everything that dares to get close. Lean into precision tools, and you start threading shots through gaps, picking off priority targets before they can collapse your position. Build around shields and defensive tools, and suddenly you're this unshakable wall, slowly grinding the aliens down, while everything bounces off you. It's not just numbers going up, you feel the personality of each build. And of course, this is a roguelite, so the real addiction kicks in between the chaos. After each push, you're taking your rewards back into the meta layer, unlocking new skills, enhancing existing ones, and poking at different synergies to see what breaks the game in your favor. That's where the just one more run feeling truly lives. You die, you adjust, you come back with a slightly more cursed combination of upgrades and a stronger sense of, all right, now I know what I'm doing. No two runs really play out the same, and it's not only because of upgrades. The game leans hard into procedural maps and dynamic events. You're fighting across 4 distinct worlds, and the layout keeps changing. Supply drops appear in the distance and force you to decide. Do you stay safe, or do you sprint out into the danger zone for that tempting loot? Random missions pop up mid-run and dangle extra rewards if you're willing to chase optional objectives under pressure. Mini-bosses can drop in when you're starting to feel a little too comfortable and just wreck your rhythm. It keeps you awake. You're not zoning out in a circle waiting to hit level 30. You're constantly reacting to the map, the objectives, and whatever nonsense the game decides to throw at you this time. And then there are the boss fights. Survive long enough and things escalate into these big showdowns that feel like they belong in the climax of a movie. Giant enemies, screen-filling attacks, patterns that force you to actually use your build instead of just existing inside a cloud of damage. This is where you really find out if your genius build idea is actually good. Or if you accidentally invented a very stylish way to die, you also get 2 playable characters, the soldier and the psychic. The soldier is your more grounded, classic sci-fi action hero. Big guns, straightforward brutality. The psychic brings a completely different flavor, and it's the kind of switch that genuinely encourages you to rethink how you build and how you move. Even just swapping characters can make the game feel fresh again, because your old comfort picks don't always work the same way. All of this is wrapped in a very specific tone. The game goes for stylized violence and gore, blood, dismemberment, aliens being torn apart by sci-fi weaponry, but it keeps it in that exaggerated, almost comic book lane. It's mature, but not trying to shock you with realism. And if you're wondering where the line is, there's no sexual content, no drug use, and no strong language. The rating leans entirely on the violence and the fact that you're absolutely obliterating creatures on screen. The soundtrack deserves its own shout-out. The whole experience is carried by an original synthwave score from Cartridge 87, and it fits the vibe perfectly. It's that pulsing, driving kind of music that makes you lean forward a bit more and think, yeah, okay, one more wave. When a run is going well and the soundtrack kicks into that zone, it really does feel like you're playing through the 3rd act of some lost 80s sci-fi banger. What I appreciate most is that Let Them Come Onslaught doesn't pretend to be something it isn't. It's not here to deliver a deep emotional narrative or rewrite the roguelite rulebook. It knows exactly what lane it's in. Fast-paced, build-driven alien slaughter with a strong sense of style. The joy comes from experimenting with builds, seeing how far you can push a synergy before it collapses, and laughing when a mini-boss spawns at the worst possible time and ruins your master plan. So if you're into survivors-like games but you're tired of the same flat arenas and cutesy art direction, this one gives you something a little nastier, a little louder, and a lot more cinematic. 4 worlds, 2 characters, endless waves, and a soundtrack that never lets up. How long can you survive the onslaught? If you do end up playing it, I'm honestly curious. Are you more of a soldier main, or are you going straight for the psychic and trying to break the game from the inside out?